Divorced men and women of Reddit, what was the final straw? When she refused to go back to marriage counseling because he makes me feel wicked because I won't stop seeing the other guy. There's pretty much nothing left to say. I think Pokemon Go was the final straw. We weren't married but together for 8 years with a kid. He had trouble keeping a job and hadn't had a full-time job in 9 months. He worked part-time and lost his job and had some bullcrap story. I think he was showing up late and tired from staying up all night playing Pokemon Go downtown all night. She was 3 months pregnant and I was 5 months out to sea. Man, you've got some strong swimmers. My father died in Asia. Last minute I had to bolt to his funeral. Packing my bags, she lay there in bed and said, "I feel like you're just going on vacation." This was really upsetting. After his funeral, Buddhist, where I had to clean his week-old black and blue zombie face with palms and coconut oil, watch him doused in gas from a jerry can, and get set on fire with fireworks from a wand. She called me and started lighting me up about our credit card debt, and told me I shouldn't care so much because he was a crap father anyway. The next day I had to pick his bones out, put them in an urn, dress his ashes and clothes after shaping them into the shape of a body, and drop his ashes into a hole in a trash-ridden and marked grave in a small jungle wood area. Carrying his ashes to the jungle for some reason gave me enough of an existential jolt to think, what the frick am I doing? Took a year of deliberation, but I finally decided I deserved a more supportive partner. When my apartment neighbor asked me how I was okay with all of that. Okay with what? Oh, with being in an open marriage. I'm sorry, what now? Come again? Yeah, she told us you guys were in an open marriage when we saw her bringing guys home to your house while you were working. I'm sorry, what now? Come again? Awkward silence. Welp, thanks for letting me know, or I'd still be in the dark about this whole open marriage thing. I caught her emailing him real estate listings. They were apparently shopping online for a house together. When I realized that both my sons spoke to me in the same unpleasant, dismissive tone as my husband did. When my 10 years old asked me why I told them every day that daddy was cross and to try to keep out of his way. When I saw how much better he treated one child than the other, I hadn't realized all those things had become my normal. Somehow not having access to our money had become unremarkable. Being undermined and belittled in front of others was to be tolerated. I had no idea how much I worked to keep the peace and placate. I felt so guilty when it dawned me how much they were absorbing his behaviors and seeing them as normal. I woke up and saw my life with my old, single independent eyes and was both aghast and ashamed. I never, ever would have believed my life would become the mess it had. The thing is, mostly in other people didn't see it. He never socialized with people I knew and his friends think he is great. Even my mum thinks I exaggerate and should put up and shut up. I feel so isolated, but I refuse to put up with this crap any longer. My kids deserve an emotionally healthy example of relationships and love. When one of my husband's men girlfriends actually came up to me, apologized and said, "He told me that you knew about me and that you had an open marriage." I was already planning on leaving him because of the infidelities. She just made me move all that much faster. She told me she was pregnant with another man's baby. Pretty easy decision. Husband was out of town on a business trip. I had a surgery scheduled for the same time. Had the surgery and there were complications. It was supposed to be a day surgery and I should have been home that evening. Ended up in the ICU for 2 days and the hospital for 4 more. My friend called my now ex-husband and told him that I almost died and was in ICU and he needed to come home. His reply, "Well, she didn't die, so I'll be home when my business trip is over." After he got home and I got home from the hospital, he was nice enough to leave the hotel invoice on our dresser, a room with 2 occupants. She wanted to move back to her home country. My visa was denied and that was that. When I talked to his girlfriend on the phone and she didn't know he was married. When she threatened divorce in a very sensitive argument, I paused, agreed, and stuck to it. There were 2 things that stuck in my mind I just couldn't get past, but it was a lot of different things. I guess these 2 were the nails in the coffin. 1. Birthday dinner for my father-in-law. 5 minutes before we are leaving for dinner, my ex tells me, "Oh, dinner is just for our immediate family." I thought I was his family. It was very heartbreaking. 2. I spent a month caring for my dying grandmother, one of the most treasured people in my life. I was exhausted and devastated by the time she passed. I don't even remember the conversation, just his response of, "I really need your support right now. Your grandma's death really messed me up. I realized I was alone in my marriage and that it wasn't ever going to change. I had to walk away for my own health and sanity." If your husband doesn't consider you immediate family, then he doesn't understand what marriage is. He tried to kill my 8-month-old kitten by throwing it through a wall in our apartment. His reason: the little butthole wouldn't stop meowing. I hope your kitten is okay. Also, you dodged a huge freaking bullet. I was working night shift. She cheated on me with 5 men that she met on Tinder and freaking Craigslist. After I downloaded the contents of her phone, I found she was talking to 18 and freaking 5. So yeah, divorced. Picked up my ex-wife's cell phone and dialed the last number called. It was her boyfriend, which I knew she had. I walked over to my ex and put the phone on speaker, confronted him in front of her, and they both just laughed. I told her, let's see if that guy comes to your rescue when you really need, or if you're just a booty call. I brought in 100% of our income, which made it extra satisfying when I made the final exit out of the driveway. I asked her how they were doing and she hadn't heard from him since that day. I've related this story on Reddit before, but my ex and I had separated over her cheating, and while I was considering options, she shot the family dog. She didn't take the dog out back and give it a bowl of food and put it down. She was laying in the bed, looked over at the dog, and decided it needed to be dead, so she shot it right there in the bed next to her. After that, she took everything she could out of the house, but left the blood-stained mattress. So my abusive husband never hit, just accidentally stepped on my foot hard, accidentally ran into me and I hit the wall, accidentally pushed me down the stairs, etc, etc, etc. Final straw was when he accidentally shoved my daughter, not his child. When I told him if he ever touched my child again I would kill him, he got a restraining order against me. No problem. But with no job, all I had was a paid off car worth $20,000. So I found an apartment, got furniture and a job. All the while he's begging me to come back. Not gonna happen. With no one left to abuse, the son of a bee jumped off a bridge and killed himself. After a few years of horrible guilt and a ton of Prozac, I am finally doing super great. When my ex started threatening me and physically assaulting me in front of my kid, he also threatened to kill me if I left, and I believed him. Fortunately, I suppose, he was also sleeping around and found the perfect woman. So then he filed for divorce on the fast track and actually gave me a pretty decent deal on the property settlement custody agreement. Convincing our children to drink their own urine. He decided to practice urine therapy and I was disgusted and started to prepare for divorce, but when he got the kids involved I immediately knew it was over. Finding plane tickets and hotel reservations to go meet some dude she had been chatting with online. Turns out the guy wasn't the fishing boat owning Alaskan adventurer he claimed. He turned out to be a part-time theater ticket taker for a movie theater, living in his mom's basement. He got blind drunk at his birthday party and was trying to start fights, etc. So I got him home. Had the presence of mind to hide the car keys in the dryer. He wanted to go back out, so tore the whole house apart looking for them. Threatened me with a kitchen knife when I wouldn't give up their location. So yeah, marriage. Good times. I was going to get yelled at no matter what I did. Did the laundry. Get yelled at for not folding the towels correctly. Let her do the laundry. Get yelled at for not doing the laundry. The final straw was I was sent to the grocery store for French cut green beans. They had French style green beans and cut style green beans. I spend more time than I care to admit scrutinizing the green bean aisle. I finally realized that green beans are 40 cents and I'm not taking an ass chewing over 40 cents. I bought both. She threw my laptop on the floor, which caused the screen to break. I took the laptop into the bedroom to inspect it. I brought it back out to show it to her. She accused me of breaking the screen. Wasn't the first thing of mine she broke, nor the first time she made a ridiculous accusation. I was in a seriously neglectful and abusive, verbal, Psychological, not physical, marriage for the better part of 10 years. I tried everything that I could to try and fix it, and even though I was the one with the complaints, I still went into marriage counseling for 2 years and said I will do anything I can to try and change to make this better or to try and fix it. She would go into marriage counseling every single week and say the same thing. I want him to accept me as I am. In other words, she didn't want to change in any way. She didn't want to compromise in any way. She wanted me to accept being neglectful and abusive person that she had become. I should mention here that she is a severe narcissist. But the final straw? I had never even considered divorce or separation. It never even crossed my mind. For me, we were married for life and we just needed to figure out how to fix it. But one day in marriage counseling, when I was talking about something that she had done that was hurtful, she blurted out, "I think we should just consider separating." I was completely shocked and floored by this. I never even imagined it, and in that moment I realized that it was always me chasing her. For 10 years I've been chasing her. She's always running away. She never apologized ever for anything. She would get away with the most heinous behavior and I would crawl back to her and apologize and keep the relationship going, and I realized that moment that anytime things got tough, she would scream separation or divorce or run away, and that is no way to live. A good relationship takes two people that genuinely want to be in a relationship and are both willing to put in the work for that relationship and both willing to compromise for each other. This was not the case. This was a one-sided relationship which is always going to be doomed, and so I finally mustered up the courage after she said that and made the decision to walk away. Everyone deserves happiness and I just didn't want to live without the rest of my life like that anymore. He married someone else while he was married to me. Final straw. I think that straw is illegal. She decided she loved her girlfriend, who was also married, more than she loved me and our new baby. She left for the girlfriend, who subsequently left her husband and kids too. Both families ended up divorced. Both women lost the kids. They broke up a few months later. Schadenfreude. My mother-in-law left her husband after he bought her a compost bin for her birthday. She didn't want to be married or a mom anymore. She also wanted to see other people. I showed her the door and she ran like a bat out of heck. Left me and the kids. All I had to do to get custody was keep paying her cell phone bill and car payment. This was pretty much all she cared about. Too dang bad that was not part of the divorce agreement. I stopped paying the day after the divorce was final. She filed for divorce and then fled to another state. While temporarily separated from my dad, my mom had to unexpectedly leave the city and left my brother and I with her elder sister. Super sweet lady with a heart of gold. My mom had tried to contact my father but wasn't able to get a hold of him and left a message at his work and verbally told his parents. My dad was mad that we weren't left in his care and filed for divorce that week. He wanted a legal agreement that could be enforced in order to guarantee that he got the time with his kids that he felt he deserved. So his reason to file for divorce, despite my parents trying to work things out at the time, was that he thought a divorce would give him more time with his kids and on his own terms. That wasn't the long or short term outcome. The catch here is the reason my mom left town that week was in order to take care of my dad's sister and her kids. My aunt was suffering from depression and her husband had to take a work trip and was worried about leaving her alone with the kids. So my mom dropped everything and went there. My dad knew all of this as it was communicated to his parents. My aunt attempted suicide while my mom was there, and luckily my mom was able to intervene and save her life. So my mom was saving my dad's sister's life while my dad was filing for divorce. This story has been corroborated by both my parents. It wasn't the final straw, but it was the first time divorce was mentioned, and it was the first time we admitted openly that we both wanted out. We were playing a D&D type board game and his character walked into a trap I'd set and took a massive amount of damage. He tried to institute his own version of take backsies, and when I refused because we were adults and he was cheating, he knocked the game board over and yelled, "That's it. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. I wanted divorce." Sadly, we worked things out and continued on through more miserable years until I eventually called it quits due to his online dating and his controlling behavior. That game still has a special place in my heart, though. I had just had my car repaired and repainted following his wrecking of the front end in a careless accident. He took it for a middle of the night joyride with his pot supplier buddy. While I slept unawares, he managed to accomplish the following. 1. Double parked in front of known drug dealer's house. 2. Caught the attention of a cop in a clearly marked SUV. 3. Drove 2 miles with cop following with lights and siren on. 4. Finally noticed cop and engaged in high-speed chase. 5. Totaled my car by crashing through a cornfield and into a freaking tractor. 6. Ran from the scene leaving an injured drug buddy behind. 7. Concocted idiotic scheme whereby he would pretend to have been carjacked. 8. Stabbed self in the chest with a goddamned pocket knife to lend credence to said scheme. 9. Suffered collapsed lung requiring hospitalization, followed by arrest. 10. Did not get visited in either hospital or jail by soon-to-be ex-wife. I didn't give a dang what happened to him, but I cried like a baby over the loss of my car. For about 3 months already he would only be home for 10 minutes after I got home from work. Just long enough to say hi to me and our infant son before taking off to party with friends until God knows when. The final straw when he thought it was acceptable to disappear for the entire weekend and get mad at me when I went looking for him. He had a seizure disorder and schizophrenia, so when he went missing in the past, happened multiple times, I had to go looking for him to ensure he was safe. Oh, but frick me for worrying. Good riddance. When she set me on fire. I still am dealing with trust issues, and this is over 6 years ago. You think your entire life together is going great. Just got a puppy, new car and moving into an apartment we never dreamed we could get. She's finishing up classes at a 4-year college. We've been high school sweethearts since 9th grade, so over 7 years together. Not even 6 months into being married we go out to dinner and all is going great. Not even 30 minutes into the meal, she starts to get very emotional but won't say why. Concerned and worried for my wife, I excuse us and head home. Mind you, this entire time I had and everyone else thought things were going incredibly well. I felt on top of the world with our lives. I just don't find you attractive anymore. When I walked down the aisle 6 months ago I kept repeating to myself, don't do it, don't do it, but I couldn't let you down. There's someone at my work who just gives me the attention I need and I'm really attracted to him. We've spent some time together. Now this isn't one of those he didn't see the little things adding up or he's only telling one side of the story type situations. The rug and earth was ripped out from beneath me. Her family and friends all tried to talk to her and her parents apologized profusely. No one had a clue or believed it at first. I crashed at a friend's place and continued to try and talk to her about it and about seeing a counselor. She refused. I told her that both of us need to see someone together as well as individually. Still refused and called me an butthole for suggesting it. In retrospect, it's the best thing that has happened to me. I was able to focus on myself and I met my current amazing wife and I couldn't imagine being with anyone else. And now we have started a family and have a little girl. That fear of my entire world flipping upside down is still there and those trust issues have taken so long to work through. Many issues. The final straw was when his mother criticized me yet again in front of the entire family. When we were alone, I pointed this out to my now ex-husband. He told me, "You are just going to have to get used to it and get over it. We are married now. There's nothing you can do about it." He saw nothing wrong with how his family treated me and I refused to live the rest of my life being treated like that. Physical and emotional abuse. Loss of consortium, and finally the painful punch to the gut when you finally need your spouse for the first time in a decade, and find out she's not there for you at all, in any context. He got syphilis from a prostitute while I was working in the Arctic. When he told me that we were too young when we met, 21, and that he never got to live a bachelor lifestyle, he wanted to take a break so that he could date around and get it out of his system, then we would get back together. This happened about a month after we got married. Lived together 9 years, married for 6 months. Marriage only lasted so long because he realized that he wasn't attracting the dime pieces he thought he would and dragged his feet signing paperwork. SHHH. Like this video, but quietly so you don't wake up the sleeping papa. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.